All right, what's up, everyone? How are we? Happy Thursday. Back with the college basketball weekend preview show. Be looking at the top 10 games on Saturday. And as we do each and every episode, we're another week closer to March. So, very exciting time of year. 3 regular season weeks left, I believe, after this or including this Saturday. And then, conference tournaments, March Madness, our favorite time of year. Joined tonight, as always, by Joe Kometz and special guest, recurring guest of the show, Tony Harding. But welcome back, fellas.
Yo.
And how are we?
I'm fantastic. I'm ready to roll.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm ready to rock and roll.
So we got a big slate this weekend, obviously, to get into the top 10 games as always. We'll give our full breakdown, picks, projections, against the spread, over, under. But as we get closer to March, we're going to be doing some more bracketology talk and talking about which are some of these teams that are fighting for a spot in the tournament. So going to read off 2 resumes for you guys. Let me know who you to put in. All right, so we'll go Team A, 47th in the net, 46 in KenPom, 23rd strength of schedule, a 16-10 overall record, 3-5 in quad 1, 5-3 in quad 2, and then a combined 8-2 in quad 3 and quad 4. Then you go to team number 2, 68 in the net, 70 in KenPom, 66 strength of schedule, 19-7 record. They are 3-6 in quad 1, 1-1 in quad 2, and 15-0 in quad 3 and quad 4. Tony, I'll go to you first. Who would you be putting in the NCAA tournament between these 2 schools?
Out of the 2 schools, I'd probably go with Team A, just due to the metrics and more quality wins, it seems, on their resume. I have a good feeling I know who Team 2 is, or Team B. But what about you, Kometz?
Yeah, you say I'm going to go with Team A as well. Kind of everything you said, Tony. The metrics, favor Team A, but the big thing was to the strength of schedule. Having more opportunities against the higher 2 quads, that does matter too. I know they have 2 losses in quads 3 and 4, but they've played less. Team B has 13-0 in quads 3 and 4. Like, it's good that you don't lose those games, but the fact that they have that many games just shows that they definitely have less room for error as well. So I'd go Team A.
Oh yeah, week non-conference schedule.
Tony, you said you had an idea who Team B was. Who do you think?
Yeah, that's Ole Miss.
Right on.
Yeah,
good call.
That's Ole Miss. 15. Well, the 15-0. I mean, they ran the table there in the non-conference to start the year. But looking at the teams they played, there's not really anyone who has panned out to be a tournament team.
Joe, did you guess Team A?
Is Team A Nova?
Mm-mm.
No.
Team A is Utah.
Yeah, I would say, even though Utah hasn't looked great,
the Utes,
like Ole Miss, beat up on like Alabama State. Like, it's great you get all these wins, but if you don't prove it in conference play, and they've proven when they've gone up against the big boys in the SEC, they've gotten smacked around. So I would go with Utah over Ole Miss right now.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, and Jerry Palm's bracketology this morning over at CBS Sports, he actually has these 2 teams playing against each other in the first 4 with Ole Miss and Utah. So 2 teams that are very close. I think you can say with Ole Miss, though, they're going to have some more opportunities here down the stretch to pick up some bigger wins against a stronger conference opponent in the SEC rather than the Pac-12, because that Pac-12 really down this year. But all right, that's it for the bracketology talk for today. We got 10 games on Saturday to get into, a lot of ranked, unranked matchups, and then some pivotal matchups for some teams that are hovering around the bubble and maybe even playing for their tournament lives. But we'll start in the Big 12. Number 2, Houston at number 11, Baylor. 12 o'clock tip on CBS. Houston projected to win this one. It has a metric 67-63. So we'll go Houston minus 3.5, over under 129.5. Joe, does Houston win and go to number 1 in the country?
Yeah, I have Houston 63, Baylor 59. So I'll take Houston minus the 3.5. I'm going to go under 129. I think after, I don't know how that Iowa State-Houston game went over the other night. Yeah, Kennesaw State, sure, my Owls. They will be my dynasty team in the new college football game. Yeah, I'm going to go Houston in this one on the road. I just really love this Houston team and how tough they are. And I think Baylor, they've gone up against, some of these better teams in the Big 12. They've shown, that they can hang around, but I don't think they're better than I think Houston's just flat out the best team in the Big 12. You can make an argument they're the best team in the country right now. So I'm going to go with the Cougars on the road.
Tony?
Yeah, I like Houston in this one. I'll go with the under 129.5, and I'll go Houston 66-58. I just think Houston tough as nails. I mean, you play them, it's scrappy, it's a dogfight, and along with that, they got some talent, to carry them in that backcourt, especially with Shed is probably a top 5 point guard in the country, along with Cryer, who could catch fire at any time because he's just putting up ridiculous shots out there. He's their bucket getter. And then as far as Baylor goes, I really don't know how to read Baylor. There's no go-to guy. I know they have Jacoby Walter, who's a high projected draft pick, but I just really haven't seen it from him. He's more of just he's like a projected type guy. They're going off his potential. So yeah, I like Houston in this one. So
got some comments in the chat fading Tony.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go with Baylor in this game. I'm going to go take them to win here, 68-64. Baylor plus 3.5. We'll go with the over there of 129.5. Houston wins this game. They're number 1. I think it would be quite funny if UConn lost this week. Purdue, obviously, with that loss last Sunday against Ohio State. And then if Houston goes to Baylor and loses, and, there goes the discussion again where, all right, there really isn't an elite team in college basketball. Everyone is very close to each other at the top here. But Baylor, I like their guards. And I think when you're playing against this Houston team, you need guards that are able to make shots. Like Walter, I think he can, and Ray J. Dennis out there as well. This is a team that does have a few guys they can lean on down the stretch, and kind of a reason why I like them come tournament time. They're going to have to defend a little bit better. They're up and down on that end of the floor, but when you have two guys like Ray J. Dennis and Jacoby Walter that are able to go out there and make shots on their own, especially against these really tough defenses where they're not going to let you get much open looks, you're going to have to hit tough shots. I think that's where you kind of get a little bit of an edge there with Baylor. And going on the road too, obviously in the Big 12 is never easy. If there is one team that can do it, I think it could be Houston, just if they go in there and completely punk them. But I'm going to go with Baylor to win this one at home. 3.5, I think that's a really nice line to take there. Even if you don't think Baylor's going to win the game, I think this one's going to be a close battle throughout. All right, before we get into the ACC, quick on this one. D3 MAC Freedom Championship, Saturday afternoon, DeSales versus Stevens. Just give your guys a quick pick on that matchup.
DeSales.
Oh, yeah, I'll go DeSales at DeSales. I like that.
Tony Harding's not walking through that door. You got to go. Got to go to sales in that matchup. All right, we go to the ACC now. I think this could be the biggest game of the day, bubble-wise. I mean, we're going to talk about at the end UConn-Villanova. That's a huge one as well, but I don't think really anyone's counting on Villanova to go up there and actually win that game. That's more of a bonus-type game for them. But number 8, Duke, going to Wake Forest for a 2 p.m. tip. Wake 75-74 is the projection. So go Wake minus 1.5, over under 148.5. Tony, Duke fan, you were saying earlier that they're starting to get rolling. I agree, but they remind me a lot of they did last year. And then we saw what happened once they got to play a more physical team in the tournament. Wake's kind of Super Bowl here. Do you think that they're able to pull off the upset against Duke?
Ultimately, no, I don't. I'll go Duke 74, Wake 67. I just think Duke's guards are making leaps throughout the year here. And I was talking to you saying this is the same thing they did last year. I don't think Wake Forest is the Tennessee type team that Duke ran into last year, where it was like they just got out physical the whole game and they got blown off their spot. They got killed on the boards. With Wake, it'll be more an up and down type game. And I expect Duke with Tyrese Proctor to keep Hunter Salas in check. I know he's been Wake's go-to guy here the last few weeks. So I'll go with my Blue Devils here to get a win.
Joe?
Yeah, I'm going with Wake Forest just because my whole thing is they've had so many opportunities come their way. They've blown every single big game opportunity to get a win, to solidify them. This is Coyle, you kind of alluded to it. This is their Super Bowl. This is their do or die. If they lose this game, they might have much win out if they want to have a legit shot at getting a bid or an at-large bid in the tournament. I think Duke is the better team, but Wake at home, I think they're undefeated in general, let alone in conference play at home. Unless I'm forgetting a non-conference game, but that's the only reason why I'm picking Wake Forest here. I'll take them 83-81. I'll take them -1.5. I like the over in this game. I'm going to go with the Demon Deacons because if they lose this game, they pretty much need to be perfect throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, not much bracketology, if you look around, has them in the field right now. I really don't think anyone does. But this is a team that the metrics absolutely love, and we see kind of time and time again come Selection Sunday that these people that make the bracket put a lot of stock into this bracket, or excuse me, into the metrics. They're 27th in the net and 21st in KenPom. So like those are pretty elite metrics there. But as you were saying, Joe, they haven't really had that big win. If you get a win like this today, I'm not going to say it solidifies a spot, but you get a lot closer than some of these other teams like an Ole Miss that has terrible metrics and has dominated the lower quadrants and haven't really had those big type of wins either. But you're a Wake Forest team where you're already in good position with the metrics, and they're coming off that big win over Pitt the other night, their best game of the season. Are they able to carry that into Saturday? I don't think it's a letdown spot after the Pitt game, but are they able to really get up and bring that same performance from Tuesday night to Saturday? I think that's going to be one of the main things to watch on Saturday. But I do like this Wake Forest team to win. I think they're offense might give Duke a little bit of trouble. But like you said, Tony, too, like Wake Forest isn't a super physical team that is going to be able to kind of exploit what we think Duke's major weakness might be right now. And that's kind of that they're not really the most physically tough team, but they can score the ball. And I think this one is going to be a fun one to watch with some professional level shot makers. And it's going to be a bit of a track meet. The over in this game might be one of the better plays of the day, but I do like Wake to win this one at home. I'll go 80-75. So Wake -1.5 and over 148.5. All right, third game, probably the least appetizing one on the slate, either this one or the next one. But this team is in a bit of a do or die spot. I think if they lose this, they're going to have to win the Big 12 tournament most likely to make the NCAA tournament. But that's number 25, BYU going to K-State, who I was just talking about. 2 p.m. tip on ESPN Plus. BYU projected to win this one 74-68. So BYU -5.5. Over under 141.5. I'll start with this one. I'm actually going to take K-State to win outright. I'll go 70-67. So K-State +5.5, under 141.5. The Octagon of Doom has been one of the toughest places over the past 2 years to play college basketball at, and they lost their game last week against TCU. It's just a spot where I don't think they're going to lose two home games in a row. And it's a real desperation game, and a BYU team that was really high up in the rankings and the metrics at the beginning of the year, and they've started to come down to earth a little bit. So I'm going to go with K-State for the win here. Joe, you want to give your pick next?
Yeah, I don't understand why BYU gets so much love from the rankings, from the metrics. I get they had a good start to the season, but Coyle, you kind of said it. They've come back down to earth a little bit in the Big 12. Away from home, they're not good. I'm on their website right now. They're 2-5 away from home. Their last, both Oklahoma State, they lose by 10 to Oklahoma State, who's not good this year, and they go in by like 15 or 20 or something like that to Oklahoma. I think going to Kansas State, I don't see them winning this game. If they're -5.5, I will put my mortgage on Kansas State +5.5. I'm going to take Kansas State outright as well, 77-68. Because Coyle, like you said, do or die spot, and BYU, I do not trust them away from home.
Yeah, I'll give Kansas State here our kiss of death from the three of us because I'd take them outright as well. I'll go K-State 66-64 in the under. It's just, to me, what it came down to is I've seen BYU play in the late night slot a few times, and I'm not all impressed with them. I mean, when watching them, they kind of live and die by the three ball, and like Joe alluded to, they do struggle away from home, especially in conference. So with K-State being a tough place to play, I just don't see them being able to go in there and get a win, especially with the Kansas State team that is, do or die right now. They have to pull off a couple quad 1 or 2 wins here to even have a chance. And then, they're going to have to win 2 or 3 games in their conference tournament.
Yeah, biggest, I think, game for a bubble team this week, them and Kansas State. I think the knife is in their side if they lose this game. No really coming back from this one, and then the Wake Forest game too, as we touched on. Wake Forest still kind of floating there with the metrics, but some huge bubble games. And then this next game is a team that I don't think is on the bubble yet, but the way that they've been playing, 2 wins over the past week over Wisconsin and then Michigan State, they might be coming back to the bubble. And in a Big Ten where not that great this year outside of Purdue, I wouldn't be surprised to see this team playing in the championship on Sunday afternoon for the Big Ten title, and that's Iowa. They're going to number 12 Illinois for a 2:15 tip on the Big Ten Network. Illinois projected to win this one 89-78. So go Illinois minus 10.5, over under 166.5. Illinois coming off a devastating loss at Penn State last night. So are they able to kind of turn the page and bounce back here, or does Iowa get another upset victory? Joe, you want to start us off with your pick there?
Yeah, I'll be quick with this one, Coyle. Illinois 89, Iowa 72. Kind of like everything you said beforehand. Iowa definitely, if they do end up pulling off this upset, they are right there in the thick of the bubble conversation because this would be a huge win for them. Illinois at home here, coming off that loss to Penn State. Still don't understand how they lost that game. I actually turned the game off. I thought it was over with like a minute left. All of a sudden, I get on my phone that Penn State came back and won. So I'm going to go Illinois with the bounce back spot. Iowa going on the road, going to Michigan State and then having to go to Illinois back to back is pretty tough. So I'm going to go with the Illini here.
Tone?
Yeah, I like Illinois here. I think bounce back spot. I'll go Illinois 87-81. I think Iowa's good enough to keep it close with them. I just think I'll even take Iowa to cover. I just do not think that Illinois is going to let another one slip by. They got 2 studs on that team with Shannon and Hawkins. At home here, I do not see them losing to Iowa, especially after the devastating loss to Penn State, which, I don't understand how it happens. Some people are attributing it to the environment there at Penn State outside of Bryce Jordan Center.
Illinois is a team that I just haven't been able to really believe in all year. Like, they're a team I'm definitely going to look to be one of those upset squads early in the NCAA tournament. If they get like a 3 or a 4, maybe get picked off early. And it's for reasons like we saw last night where they don't have like a pure point guard in that team to help them kind of close out games. They've been really poor in the last 4 or 5 minutes of games and have blown a few leads. So I do think they bounce back and win this game at home. But as we said, too, this Iowa team's been playing better. And if that number is that big at 10.5, I'm definitely going to take Iowa to cover. I think that number will probably be adjusted more like a 6.5, 7-point line because they just went to Michigan State and won. And I think that's a better environment than it is at Illinois. But as we said, too, like if Iowa wins this game, they're right there in the thick of it. That's 3 huge quad 1 wins in a row. And then you still have a few more opportunities and then the Big Ten tournament to make some noise too. So very big game for Iowa on Saturday and Illinois if they want to hopefully maintain one of those top 3 seeds. All right, now we go to the SEC. Number 20, South Carolina at Ole Miss, who we already touched on, in need of a big win. Lost last night to Mississippi State. 3:30 tip on the SEC Network. Ole Miss 70-68 is the projection. So go Ole Miss minus 1.5, over under 137.5.
Yeah, I'll take this one. I'll go Ole Miss 71-63, and we'll hit the under. These 2 teams have been surprises this year in the SEC, especially South Carolina. I just think in this game at Ole Miss, I'll just give the nod to the home team. They are in desperate need of a big win here, and here's their spot rolling in. And to be honest, it'll go as a quad 1 win, beating the South Carolina team, who probably isn't like the most elite caliber team. So it's like the perfect situation. It's not Tennessee, Alabama, Kentucky rolling into town. It's, a team that they could match up well with and take care of business at home.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Tony. This South Carolina team, I think, is starting to regress to the mean a little bit. Like, they were playing above their head. Now we're kind of seeing them. They might be on a little bit of a late season slide because they were one of the stories of the college basketball year, and they still are. I mean, they're still going to be a team in the tournament, but coming back to earth a little bit. huge opportunity here for Ole Miss to, like you said, it's not the sexiest win. It's not a Kentucky or a Tennessee, but still going to count the same as a quad one victory. And Ole Miss needs those in every which way if they want to make the NCAA tournament. So I will take Ole Miss here at home. I'm going to take them to win and to cover and the under. I'll go Ole Miss 70-67. So Ole Miss 1.5, under 137.5. Joe, picks for this game?
Yeah, I'm going to go Ole Miss 72, South Carolina 68. I believe this game's going to be pretty close. You guys kind of said it already. This is a South Carolina team that I think kind of got exposed a little bit recently. They're coming back down to earth. I still think they're a good team. I just didn't think they were the 11th best team in America. I think that's where they peaked at. I know they had a great record, but, they kind of stepped up a little bit. And then that LSU loss at home was just crazy. I mean, LSU obviously is playing pretty good lately, beating Kentucky last night too. But I'm going to go Ole Miss at home in need of a big win, and this is the perfect time to get it too.
All right, we go to the ACC now. Number 10, North Carolina at Virginia, 4 o'clock on ESPN. UNC projected to win here, 66-63. So we'll go UNC minus 2.5, over under 128.5. And I'll just jump out and say it. I'm going to go with Virginia to win this game outright, 65-62. So go UVA plus 2.5, under 128.5. Scored 41 points on Monday night. This is going to be such a typical spot where this line actually is 2.5 for everyone, and their mother is going to be like, Virginia only scored 41 points on Monday. How is the number 10 team only a 2.5 point favorite? You got to take them, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to take Virginia in this one. I think it's just a typical public's going to be all over North Carolina. And Virginia, like I said it 2 weeks ago, they were playing some pretty good basketball, looking to be rounding into form. And ever since I said that, they kind of shit the bed. This is a opportunity not for a get right spot, but get a win and get your confidence back. And if you lose this and you continue this slide, they might even find themselves playing in the first four, or even just a 11 or 12, one of those the last 11 or 12 seeds in the tournament. So huge game for them, and still a huge game for North Carolina too. Like they're trying to keep pace with Duke. They're at the top with UNC still having to go to Duke for that last Saturday of the regular season. They don't have the ACC title wrapped up. So huge game here for North Carolina and their ACC title hopes, and maybe keeping out hope for a 1 seed or a 2 seed. And then UVA trying to get that confidence back. So I'm going to go with UVA at home here in a bounce back game. Joe, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm going to go UNC 71, Virginia 64. Not because of, Virginia only scores 41. It's just the way, like Virginia, yes, they have great defense, but if they go down 7 or 8 points early, I don't know how they're going to be able to come back. They don't have the offense to keep up with a team like UNC, who's proven they can go out and score a ton of points. I still think North Carolina is a very good team. I think Virginia is just a gross, ugly shit stain that is kind of getting carried off of the 2019 national championship. So I'm going to go with UNC on the road here, and I think this is going to be a game that really kind of breaks Virginia's hopes in terms of getting a decent seed in the tournament. Coyle, I'm kind of with you. I could see them being like the 10 seed playing at like that first 12-15 game on Thursday afternoon. So I'm going to go and see.
I hope that's not the first game to start off the tournament. But it was, I think it was last year, or they were the 12:40 game, and that was the when they threw it. They just threw it up, and then Furman won. But Tony, you with me or with Joe on this one?
Oh, I'm with Joe on this one. I like UNC here to win by 10 plus. I'll go UNC 71-60. I'll take the over. Virginia doesn't really have any great wins when you look at their resume the whole year. I was looking at it earlier. There's really not a standout win against a team who us three would consider good. I think, they're going to make it ugly. I just think the thing with UNC is they have the guys to make shots over good or great defense, right? So when it comes down to it, I think UNC, who they kind of need to right the ship a little bit, they slipped up a couple times here in the ACC play, and they're honestly more talented than they have been playing. So I'll take UNC here.
All right, we go to now the opposite in terms of the total. I think we could see some graphics. I don't know off the top of my head what it is, but I think we could see some graphics Saturday morning that this is the highest pregame over-under in college basketball history, or at least like since like 2000 or something. Like this is going to be a whopping total, and that's number 13 Alabama at number 17 Kentucky. 4 o'clock tip on CBS. Alabama projected to win this one on the road, 88-87. So go Bama minus 1.5. Over under for the projection sitting there at 174.5. I think it's going to be over this. I think that was what it was last night for Bama, Florida. But Tony, does Kentucky or Alabama defend in this game, and who's able to win it?
Well, to answer the question, no, they're not going to defend. But I'll take Kentucky at home. I'll go Kentucky 93-88, which if a line was set at 174.5 would be the under, even though it's a whopping total of points. You know what you're getting here. It's two teams that are going to play a track meet against each other. Alabama's going to chuck the 3-ball. Kentucky's going to get up and down, fly up and down with their guards. And for the most part, any shot that Bama takes in the paint is liable to get blocked with the bigs from Kentucky and they're lurking. Ultimately, I'm just going to go with home floor here in the tough SEC. Kentucky will be rocking here for a ranked matchup, so I'll go with Kentucky.
Joe?
Yeah, I'm going to go Kentucky as well, 91-87. So I'll take them plus the 1.5. I like the over as well, even though it's crazy high. And this is kind of like, you were saying, I'm going to go with Kentucky being the home team, coming off of a crazy loss against LSU after, Calipari and everyone was, Calipari saying, I'm the worst coach in America after they went and beat Auburn. To follow it up with that loss, they're going to definitely be pissed off if they lose this game. Every loss you'll have people saying, oh, Cal on the hot seat. I don't think he'll ever truly be on the hot seat, but you definitely want to get this win here because if not, you could be looking at, maybe playing for a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament because they're a very inconsistent team. Kind of like a lot of other, kind of just the story of college basketball season. It's how many teams are inconsistent, but kind of not a must win, but like they really should win this game for.
Yeah, the thing with this Kentucky team, like I started to believe in them. Like that the defense over the past 2 games, only allowing like 61 points. They held their opponents like below 20% from 3. Look, they were starting to figure it out. And even last night, like weren't terrible on the defensive end. And I only got to watch the second half of it, but they didn't get the stop when it mattered most. Like they didn't do the little thing where they didn't box out. They blocked it like inbound instead of, blocking it out of bounds and getting a chance to reset your defense or whatever. Like just little things like that. Even, I don't know if you guys saw the clip, but like you probably saw the buzzer beater, but Dillingham completely was just ball watching, didn't box out anyone. And it looked like he was getting ready to leak out on offense. Like, dude, like the game's over.
With 1 second left
for this shot. Yeah. So it's just like little things like that where the youth shows up and you just don't know if you can buy them long term. But if they defend like they did the past 2 games against Auburn and I think it was Ole Miss last week, they can beat anyone because that's how talented the offense is. And Dillingham's the guy that he's shown that he can not just make shots throughout the game, but down the stretch too. Like I remember the Texas A&M game earlier in the season. They lost that game, but he was making shots down the stretch. And last night against LSU too. So, and this Bama team, I feel like metrics-wise has graded out really well all year. And at the beginning of the year, they were dropping a lot of games, but they played a really challenging schedule, starting to win a lot more, and just a super fun team to watch. Might be my favorite team to watch. So that's my 2 cents on the game. I think this is going to be wildly entertaining, back and forth type of track meet. But I'm going to go Alabama to win at Kentucky here. I just trust them more. And I've just plain and simple. I've seen them win more close games down the stretch. So it give me a little bit more confidence there. I'm going to go Bama 95, Kentucky 92. So Bama minus 1.5, over 174.5.
Yeah. All right. To stop you for a second, I think with college hoops, I'm sitting here thinking about it. There's probably 1 through 3 or 4. You give me UConn, Purdue, Houston. Maybe you could throw in a team like Tennessee. And then I think it's probably 4 through 25 are all probably lumped together in the same category of trust, right? Like it's pretty much a crapshoot when you're trying to predict these games or these teams because they've just been so up and down all year. So that's my 2 cents with the landscape right now.
Yeah, me and Joe, I said it to him last week. I said every week you have to rank 25 teams for the AP top 25, but I don't think there are 25 teams that truly deserve to be in like a top 25. It should be like a
Correct.
top 15, a top 20. Like some of these teams have a number next to their name just because there needs to be a team that needs to be ranked,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
truly like they don't deserve it. And it's weird too because at the top, we think there's some really good teams, but we've seen this week that they slip up. I mean, it's on the road, things happen, teams are going to lose, but are they really like absolute juggernauts like we saw with Baylor and Gonzaga a few years ago? It's pretty
Right.
crazy, and we say all the time this is going to be the wildest March Madness ever, but it really could because I think, as you're saying, Tony, there's such a big gap of teams where it's like I don't know what to expect. So it's gonna be a fun run. And it's really this next month here. It's really gearing up. All right, we go to the Big 12 now. This is probably my favorite play of the day. If this is the actual spread, it's Texas at number 9 Kansas for a 6 o'clock tip on ESPN. Kansas projected to win 75 to 69. So we're gonna set it at Kansas minus 5.5 over under 143.5. Kansas is a 5.5 point favorite here. I think that's the best play of the day. They got McCullough back now. Obviously, him and Harris are not fully healthy, but if Kansas is a 5.5 point favorite against this Texas team, I'm slamming it. I do not think this Texas team is good at all. They're another team that if their name was like West Virginia or Oklahoma State, I don't know if people would look at them the same way. It's just they carry the big brand. They had that great year last year where they went to the Elite Eight. I think people are still riding a little bit off that when a lot of those guys are gone, and just a team that, give them credit, they've beaten the teams that they're supposed to beat, but they haven't stepped up to the plate in these big games. So I think Kansas has a Kansas-like performance at home in this one and really dismantles Texas here. I'm going to go 75-62. So Kansas minus 5.5 and under 143.5. Joe?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Kansas minus the 5.5 as well. Kansas 77, Texas 71. It's Kansas at home, and I said it last week with Texas, and I was proven right with Texas going to Houston. Going on the road, they're going to face a good team that's going to punch them in the mouth. I don't think they can step up to the challenge. Coyle alluded to it. This Texas team can beat the teams. They win the game they're supposed to win, but the games they're supposed to lose, and they lose pretty handily as well. So I'm going to go Kansas cover at home.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on this. I'll take Kansas 78-69. At home, especially, is a huge factor in why it'll be such a large margin of victory for them. I mean Kansas probably has the best starting five in the country. The question with them is just going to be their depth and if they could stay healthy. With McCullough coming back, we'll see how he ends up playing. If he's fully healthy or not. I mean, I feel they held him out for quite a bit of time here, and they actually did weather the storm a bit. I think they could. This is a game where they could get going, and Dickinson could carry them for a bit, and then the shots will start falling, and they'll overwhelm Texas.
All right, 9th game of the week. Texas A&M at number 5, Tennessee. 8 o'clock tip on ESPN. Tennessee minus 11.5 over under 141.5. I'll quickly run through our picks. We all got Tennessee to win. I have A&M to cover. Joe, you have them to cover. Tony, you got Tennessee to cover. But Joe, I know you're going to have a little bit of a long-winded rant here on Texas A&M. Just give us your 2 cents on that before we move on to our final game of Villanova-UConn.
I know we were talking about inconsistency earlier, and kind of every team is inconsistent, but A&M just seems like by far the most. Like them and Michigan State the other night. I think they're the most inconsistent team in the country. We see A&M, they lose at Vanderbilt. Then they get an Arkansas team at home where they're an 11.5-point home favorite. They lose outright. But now this is a game I wouldn't be shocked if they keep it within the 11.5. And it's not because of anything I've seen on the court. It's just because that's how they've been this year. I think Tennessee's the much better team. It wouldn't shock me if Tennessee won this game by 40 points, but I'm going to keep it within the 11.5 just because of the fact that A&M is so inconsistent and so frustrating, and they've quickly played themselves. I know like Lenardi and a lot of the bracketologists kind of had A&M, giving them the benefit of the doubt, having them in the tournament. But if I'm, a fan of A&M, I am not sitting here today being confident that this team is making the tournament. I don't think that they're going to make the tournament anyways. But after this Tennessee game, especially if they lose, they got to be pretty much perfect the rest of the way if they want to get in my opinion.
All right. And final game of the night, we head up to Joe's UConn Huskies and my Villanova Wildcats traveling up there. Nova at number 1, UConn, 8 o'clock on Fox. UConn projected to win here, 69-62. UConn minus 6.5, over under 130.5. Nova's another team like Wake Forest where the metrics really love them, and the results, like the on-court results, don't really kind of line up with that. But Nova had I think it was a 5-game skid in the middle of the season. Now they've been playing better. I think they've won 4 out of 5. Obviously, a big challenge here going to UConn, especially coming off a loss. They're able to win this. It's like a bonus, but if you're looking at Villanova through a lens, I think you don't really even take this game into account. You kind of just look at the rest of the 4 games. I believe it's they got Georgetown at home. Obviously, you got to win that one. Just rack up another win there. Then they go to, I believe it's 2 Seton Hall, 2 Providence, and then host Creighton. If you can find a way to win 2 out of those 3 games there, if you just win that Georgetown game, I think they're going to be sitting pretty as long as they get a win in the first round of the Big East tournament. Like obviously avoid a loss to like a team like DePaul or Georgetown or something like that. But I don't think they're going to go up there and win this game. If they go up and just show a fight, I think that's good for kind of their confidence. They have been playing better. They've been scoring the ball a little bit better. Very good on defense. So Villanova 14-4 now on the year when they hold their opponent to 70 points or less. So when this team is playing good defense, it carries them. If this game's lower scoring, that's definitely going to favor Villanova. But if UConn gets on that kind of run and where they're the avalanche coming down and they absolutely take you out, I wouldn't be surprised either. So I'm going to go with UConn to win this game and to cover coming off the loss. UConn minus 6.5, over 130.5. I'll go UConn wins 75-60. Tony, you want to touch on it? And then Joe finish us off.
Yeah, I'll go UConn 81-65. I think they'll win big here. Like you said, they have the avalanche effect where they get rolling and they put 17 on you before it's a 17-0 run quick.
Yeah.
They have all the pieces. I just don't think, exactly like you said, I think if Nova could win 3 of those last 4, maybe even knock off a Creighton team who just pulled off a great win, they should be in the tournament.
Joe?
I think UConn's going to destroy Nova. I have 82-60. If UConn's minus 6.5, I'll put a lot of money on that. I think just, a team that, I know this is very fan speak of me, but like a team that needed a loss, UConn kind of got humbled a little bit going to Creighton. Big win for them. Coming back home now, you get to, play against a team that is fighting for their lives, but this is kind of a win. If UConn can win this game pretty handily, that Hurley can use going forward as saying, like, listen, when we play our ball, there isn't any other team in America that can beat us, even though I think UConn's going to lose to Providence to end the season because no one goes into Providence and win. But give me UConn big at home.
All right, well, that'll do it for this weekend. As we said, a couple more weekends left, and then conference tournaments, and then March. Tony, you're going to join us for another bracket episode again as well?
I'm in.
All right.
I'll do it.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, a lot of, as we touched on, big games for bubble teams and some big games for some teams trying to improve their seeding and win some regular season conference championships. But as always, thank you everyone for listening. Please like, subscribe, and we'll talk next week.